fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got with the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
It's Monday night, so welcome to Club Day Masters on SimSpeed. And tonight, the league heads to Hockenheim Ring, Baden-Württemberg, or as many people might just know it, Hockenheim. A track steeped in history of all sorts. Very often a championship decider in DTM touring car action as well. But for tonight, it's a different Audi. It's the TCR, as it is every round for Club Day Masters this season. So for all of tonight's action, I'm David Haynes, and I'm joined by Nick Skariev. We've got Jay Kennedy pressing the buttons all behind the camera. Nick, it is good to be here at this new track. This layout as it exists now has existed for 2 decades, but it is new to the iRacing service, so everything, the digital pixels, all very, very shiny.
And that's exactly right, Dave. Thanks for having me there, and you are right. Hockenheim, bit of DTM, also F1 as well, so quite a lot of high profile racing here. Hock is known colloquially maybe just by me, but just have a bit of a zoom in there in the mountains there of Germany.
Yep, here it is, located in Germany, and we will zoom in towards the town of Hockenheim and the forest nearby in which the circuit resides. You can just make out a little bit of the old track further through the forest that people get so nostalgic for. Get over it. It's been gone for 2 decades. This is how we race on Hockenheim Ring now. And of course, always lots of overtaking at the end of the Parabolica down there at that far hairpin, Spitzkirche, turn 6 per this map. That's always an exciting place to watch some slipstreaming and some battling happen. But then you've got these sort of combination arena sections, the old one with Sachs Curve, and then the newer section with the Mercedes grandstand there, where also you see a lot of switchbacks, a lot of passing maneuvers happen. Don't forget the old drag strip. It's currently used. It gets action, the drag strip down there as well. So this is qualifying before we go into race 1, 15 minutes. And then the finishing order from race 1 is the starting order for race 2, a progressive grid from race 1 to race 2 tonight. So qualifying right now, it might lock you in to roundabout where you sit in the pack all night, or it might not. We might see some great moves, but you won't get another chance to qualify again after this.
Yeah, that's right. So you can think about all the action that we've had already in this season. So where we were at Silverstone last week, so much action and a bit of a boil over there having that random safety car. So we just saw that graphic just pop up there up at the bottom. So in race 2 there will be a chance of a random safety car. We're just looking at some of the practice times here at the moment as well. Jack Boyd with a really good advantage there, almost 3/10 there over Byron Phillips. So it's going to be all about the draft and being able to sit in here as we're just looking at Brenton Hobson there, Dave.
Yeah, he's been almost consistent to a fault in this championship so far. So what's he going to pull out at this track? That's what we're going to find out. Qualifying-wise, he's in quite a difficult spot with a lot of traffic in front that could be good if you were slipstreaming off 1 or 2 cars, but I think when there's that many, it might start to become a little bit of a hindrance. It's certainly looking like it could be a little bit of a hindrance if he's going side by side during qualifying with escaping. You see the brake lights on in the middle of the straight. He's going to have to abandon. This lap is Hobbo 88. And that is an oddly large amount of traffic.
Yes, we're just seeing, so the practice leader there, Jack Boyd, out in front, so not exactly where he wants to be, but if you're, that looks like Ivan Vantigiato there in the Italia livery Audi there, so he's actually almost in the hot seat there. He's behind a really fast driver and he can actually just hang that draft in there, brake nice and late, so expecting a really good lap time here out of Ivan.
Certainly is a good place to be. That's really sweeping corner that brings them in towards the Sachs curve. So tempting in these front-wheel drive TCR cars to run wide there. But there's no dramas from Jack Boyd as he's navigated the hairpin and now giving himself lots of room to take a wide entry through the final 2 apexes, really carry the speed through there, make the car rotate, and then off the final corner towards the line. Going to have time for a couple more qualifying laps, it would seem, but this one is going to be a 50.6, not enough to send him to the top. In fact, still 3/10 clear of what Byron Phillips was able to do, but a lot more other drivers. Looks like we might have 24 or 25, potentially 24 drivers tonight, 16 of them with a time now, and it's all starting to take shape in the qualifying order. Darren Sharp loves a Supercars tribute livery, as do the Sharp Racing folk. We saw a GRM tribute. This is looking like a bit of a Walkinshaw tribute. What's the other Sharp got?
Mix it out. Yeah, so sticking, I think, with the data and electrical theme there, Adam Sharp there rocking the Comtech livery there as well, and Darren there with the middies there. Just seeing Vartanian, so Vartanian not really having such a good run there at Silverstone last week. They're getting hung out to drive with a number of big hitters there, caught out by that safety car, which absolutely worked in the advantage here of Slipstream's racing Ivan Vantigiato and Lee Harrison as well. Lee Harrison coming from the back, so hopefully he doesn't have that massive task ahead at the moment. Lee is sitting around, I think 13th place, or sorry, maybe a little bit further up there. So he'll be hopefully a little bit further to the front. He was pretty quick throughout practice there as well.
So there are definitely a couple trains of cars out there with time rapidly coming to an end on qualifying. It looks like Vartanian and this group are going to get one more lap after they finish this one. So Vartanian looking to improve, as is Aaron Oliver quite close up behind him. To get to the timing line, Boyd's also improved and almost taken the pole away, and it looks oh so close around that pole position. Look at that, 2/10 to cover our top 6 at the moment. Vantigiato, Phillips, Boyd, Hydes, Vartanian and Hobson, all of them so close. And I think that's qualifying done for Vantigiato now if he's going to pull off with just 2 minutes left in the session.
Yeah, he seems pretty happy with that, so job done. Hopefully he might have popped the cork a little bit earlier on that. Just seeing Aaron Oliver there out on screen there at the moment as well, or previous, as well as Andrew Hobby, so both having a really unfortunate time there. Oh, big front-wheel drive slide there from Andrew Hobby. He's going to try and get it back.
Did I mention that corner? Or did I mention that corner earlier?
That's exactly right there. So Andrew Hobby there will have to abort that lap. He won't get the chance to make another one, so he'll be sitting around, I think he's 8th place there, so hopefully he tries to stay there in the top 10. We're just looking at Caleb Hydes, currently sitting in 4th.
Yeah, Vartanian has just pulled off to the side there. So Vartanian was towing this group along, but now he's gone and parked it. Aaron Oliver is leading the way, and Adam Sharp behind him, and then the driver we're looking at here, Caleb Hydes. But Sharp's gone very wide at the aforementioned corner. It's the apex quite a lot. Now he might be getting in the way of Hydes at this point, but that's the risk you take when you choose to, go out in the pack like that. It's becoming rapidly less than optimal for Caleb Hydes. No time on the board just yet. And apparently might have been a little bit of contact there, and that would make your lap potentially not count. So let's see what Hydes does. He gets to the line here. 50.4. Yeah, no improvement then for Caleb Hydes. Hobson's just going to squeak it to the line with one more lap here. And he's given it everything, but he's all by himself. Oh, he's given it more than everything. I think that lap wasn't going to be an improvement, and he knew it.
Yeah, unless if he thought he might have saw something there on the inside of the track. But that is our qualifying done there.
Unless he pulled his handbrake thinking it was a DRS handle or something. Otherwise, I can't imagine. But that was the end of qualifying. So let's look at the grid for race 1, the 15-minute sprint. The front row is going to be Vantagiato, Phillips, Jack Boyd, Caleb Hydes, Mario Vartanian, and Brenton Hobson starting out of 6th. But look how close all of them are. Only just over a tenth of a second for our top 6, around a full Grand Prix layout as well. That's good to see. That bodes well for the racing action tonight. Then the next couple of rows behind them is Thomas Martin, Aaron Oliver, Andrew Hobby, Scott Hassler, Hamish Cleland, and Nicholas Scaife.
Yeah, just on row 7 there. Lee Harrison not being able to make it all stick and work together. So he's a little bit further down there with Adam Sharp next to him. Glenn Boyd there next to Sam Lehman, Daniel Gomez, and Jack Childs there on row 9. Darren Sharp, Greg Holmes, Jesse White-Carrick, Anthony Connors, Philip Paradiso, and Willem Layton not registering a lap.
Here they are. The grandstands are full. I hear the catering is awesome here. I saw some photos of it earlier. Quite jealous, but that's not going to be on the drivers' minds. They're going to be thinking about their launch away from the standing start here, and when the lights are going to go out and Barney's going to drop that green flag and rev them in neutral and pull first gear, or you can pull the car against the handbrake. You've got options, but normally a pretty even start in a car like this. Not like trying to do the clutch on a Porsche Super Cup or on a V8 supercar. Time, as you can see in the top left, about to tick down on the gridding procedure in race 1. 15 minutes on the board will get underway. So it's Vantagiato on pole, trying to hold it towards turn 1, and he does get a reasonable getaway as those behind. Vartanian from 5th though, mega launch, up in challenging into 4th, challenging for 3rd, almost getting close to the rear quarter of Boyd, who hold a lot of speed around the outside. Vantagiato doing well, but here is a crossback, a big move down the inside from Byron Phillips, misses the apex, gives him a little bit of a shunt to let him know about it. Vartanian's going to get squeezed in the middle there with Boyd one side, Williams on the other, and what we saw so close in qualifying, already creating action in the races. Boyd got shoved out onto the grass. They're all slipstreaming down this long straight through the parabolica, flat out towards this big braking zone at the hairpin. That's Byron Phillips with the inside as they go 3 wide, and Vartanian trying to send it up the inside there as well. Still 3 wide on the exit, and they got to be so careful. Lucky Brenton Hobson, 3 wide on the outside, didn't get shoved off the track, but there were some other casualties.
Yeah, unfortunately there, I think that might have been Willem Layton there. It's Vartanian and Ivan Vantagiato there off, so big accident by them two. Lot of damage there by Vantagiato's car. You can't actually see it's on his right hand side, so he will have to call a tow in that. I can't see him getting out of that there.
No, that car is absolutely toast on every single corner. You can look at it. Let's grab the replay. What happened? Battling for the lead, the Flying V's, Vartanian and Vantagiato. What happens? Again, saw it. It's 3 wide. It's 2 wide as they come towards this Mercedes arena section. And, Vantagiato come across on Vartanian. Does he get tagged by maybe Hobson behind? You need the helicopter shot because, as we said, they were all 3 wide, racing super close. He punctured a tire and then he's rejoined into That would be Jack Childs and Glenn Boyd.
Yeah,
Steering
so
was well and truly broke for Vantagiato at that point.
yeah, really, really unfortunate. It looked like he'd tried to pitch it back out towards that apex there on that left hand, and Vartanian tried to keep it straight there, but very unfortunate there for Vartanian. Did see him come into the pit, so whether or not that was actually a drive-through penalty or something along the lines there, but would have to say not a great work there by Vantagiato there to come back onto the track there with so many cars and stuff around. That's probably not really an ideal rejoin there, David.
Well, almost a lap on, we are still racing. Byron Phillips has broken away a second into the lead. Brenton Hobson somehow has sailed into calmer waters, navigating that storm into second. Now the battle is on over third here. Caleb Hydes in front of Jack Boyd, and Martin's probably not done too bad off this start as well. He's racing up in fifth, with Aaron Oliver in sixth. I think has also gained a handful of positions through all of that. So we've got Greg Holmes, Glenn Boyd, Vantagiato all in the pit lane, and Vartanian having made a trip through for some repairs as well. So yeah, there's Aaron Oliver from 8th, racing up into 6th, and you can see a little bit of a gap between him to the next cars back here, which is Lee Harrison with Scott Hassler, Andrew Hobby, Hamish Clelland, and Nick Scaife in this one. So a couple packs starting to form, field starting to spread out a little bit. Air between Byron Phillips at the lead and the rest of the field, and then some air between Oliver and where these guys are racing here with Harrison, Hassler, and Hobby, who ran a little wide across the wrong side of that curb. I don't think you can do that every lap, but I think you can get away with doing that for one lap.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Vartanian, as you mentioned before there. And having a look at Lee Harrison, he's a little bit further down than what we normally see him there as well. And you're right there with Byron Phillips being able to take those apexes nice and wide, these big sweeping corners there from Hockenheim. I think that might be Aaron Sharp there up on the inside of Nicholas Scaife. Nicholas Scaife there holding that position, just tucking in behind there as well. A lot of action here currently.
Yeah, and this is where we see the slipstream of the TCR cars in top gear really sees people get close and then think about trying to make a move at this hairpin here. Scaife is going to try to hold that one around the outside, and he's going to have enough space, but not be far enough up alongside. Hyde still trying to hold off Jack Boyd, but Aaron Oliver, look at that. He's gone and grabbed one more spot. All the while, Lee Harrison has caught him, so I imagine Oliver probably sized up a move on Thomas Martin at the hairpin. Well, this is the exit of the hairpin. He's trying to stamp authority on that position.
Yes, we saw, especially last round as well, such a great battle there between Thomas Martin and Lee Harrison there. Thomas Martin putting up a real fight as we just have a little bit further at the front of our field there. So Brenton Hobson in a pretty good position there at the moment. He's only really got in the way of championship rivals there. So he's got Caleb Hydes and Jack Boyd behind him there. He's almost really in the clear because Byron Phillips unfortunately missing, I think, the last round or the last couple of rounds there.
So another fastest lap of the race for Brenton Hobson as he gets in his groove and gets within 1 second of Byron Phillips, which will see the slipstream play effect this lap. It's Lee Harrison, like he did in Silverstone a week ago, making some moves up through the field. This is one, but it's got to get a long way up the inside there for the switch back to work. And you might be just setting Thomas Martin up again for the next braking zone. It lets, who's that, Hassler and Hobby and Cleland get a little bit closer and takes a bit of that pressure off Aaron Oliver for a second. Look at this, already a car width wide for Martin, thinking about potentially defending. Harrison looking down the inside, points it to the apex, gets in deep, and then good move.
There we go, and that absolutely puts a block there on the exit as well there. So Harrison will be definitely chasing down Aaron Oliver there. You can see Oliver almost pulling a second there from that group behind us. We're talking about gaps there. Brenton Hobson absolutely pulled in Byron Phillips there, so he's only 2/10, like right under that rear bar there of Byron Phillips' Audi. Yeah,
has evaporated that little bit of a lead that Byron Phillips had back to nothing. And I think Hydes and Boyd are starting to catch as well. So the lead that he had very early is gone for Phillips. It looks like 4 cars for the lead at the minute. What will Hobson do? I'm seeing 4 more laps when they cross the line because we're basically halfway through this 15-minute sprint now. 15 minutes, pretty short race, and time does fly. So Hobson think long-term, think championship, keep it clean, or is he looking for an opportunity to steal the lead away? They all carry as much speed as they can through turn 1. Can potentially try to outbrake someone here at turn 2 through this, what's officially turns 2, 3, and 4 complex here to feed you out onto what I think of as a straight, but it's technically parabolica turn 5. Hobson just 2.5 seconds behind, closing up, already 3 kilometers an hour faster in the slipstream. Now 4, now 5. He's got the speed advantage. Will he try to attack? Phillips parking it all the way to the inside, sending Hobbo around the outside, side by side into the hairpin. A switchback, a crossover from Hobson. Clever stuff, but not quite close as he would like, and it's costing them time because Hydes and Boyd are right in the picture as well. Still side by side here for the lead. That's going to become the outside into the braking zone for Hobson. Is he going to try the switchback, the over-under once again? He's running out of options though, because now he's got cars crawling over the back of him as well.
Yeah, you can see Caleb Hydes getting rammed from behind there from Jack Boyd. So Jack Boyd doing a remarkable job to be able to pull himself onto the back of this lead group. See them all come fly through. I think that's Sud curve there, all the way. Actually, no, I've got my curves mixed up, but you can see how tight this group of 4, almost split by about 5/10 or so between them. So could be anyone's game here at the moment. They'll just hit some of that straighter sections of the circuit and really have that draft come into effect.
We're getting good rotation through those long corners that can really punish the front tyres that do so much work in these TCR cars. He's so close. He's just working in that mirror of Byron Phillips. They all come through turn 1, and you get the feeling of what it's like to get your haircut done by a TCR splitter with that curb cam. He's looking at unconventional places now, Brenton Hobson, with just 5 minutes left in this one. Speaking of, that's a dive and a half from Jack Boyd on Caleb Hyde. Might have caught him napping, but like I say, you've got to get a long way up the inside at turn 2 there, because then the track flicks back the other way onto this straight, and Hydes will hold on to that third for a second, but now got to be expecting that move from Jack Boyd again. Similar thing is happening for first and second as well, so it's all battles for the top 4 right now. Hobson now not going for the switchback, trying to hold it around the outside, trying to compromise the exit for Byron Phillips. 2 by 2, making the box for our leaders.
That's exactly right there, and you can see just how much that fighting there between Hydes and Boyd there in behind has cost them in that track space in there. But Hobson doing a great job there, having that inside line there on that left-hander has actually popped him out in front there. So it
took him 3 corners, didn't it? Around the outside of 6, around the outside of 7, to eventually have the inside for 8. Now he wants those 3 behind to keep fighting.
Yeah, that's exactly right there, and it's definitely not a big enough gap to be able to maintain towards the end, so he's going to be under a lot of fire in the next couple of laps there, and he's got such a stacked field behind there of these 3, Hydes, Boyd, and Phillips.
Yeah. By iRating, with a measly 4,200, Hobson's the weakest in this 4-car pack, because he's got Phillips 5,200, Jack Boyd 6,800, Caleb Hydes 5,100. Tell you what, all 4 of them exceeding my iRating, and not even by small margins there. So it is a pretty ferocious, pretty competitive pack at the front here. We've shed a couple cars from this championship since round 1, but I think the quality of the racecraft and the drivers up front definitely hasn't been diluted.
Yeah, and the talents come from all different areas, so you can see Hobson being so strong. Well, Hobson being able to kind of be a bit of a master at whatever he turns his wheel to, but probably more recently, like the truck racing that we've had, and then guys like Caleb Hydes, who's just been so strong in the MX-5s.
Yeah, well, here's a move from Byron Phillips, a real late look to try to get to the inside. Whoa, and then Jack Boyd trying to take it 3 wide, and this lets Hobson off the hook because Boyd just got into the rear quarter of Byron Phillips. That stopped Byron Phillips getting the drive off that he wanted. Now Hides, is he going to look down the inside? No way he can do that. So they're battling side by side for second, and a little touch is going to send Jack Boyd out wide. He's not going to take that second place. Now he's back on the defense for third. Oh, and he's going to try to shuffle Caleb Hides out wide. All the while, this is the penultimate lap. Hobson starting to just run away with it a little bit. Further back, you can see Harrison and Oliver battling over 5th. Hobby and Martin battling over 6th. Hamish Clellan and Scott Hassel are battling over 7th. It's a great 4-car lead battle, but everyone's doing it.
Yeah, that's right. No one's safe here to be able to hide, maybe unless if you're Lee Harrison seems to just have a bit of a gap there behind. I think it was about a second and a bit there. That'll definitely
Hold the
get
wrong flag there, Barney. How's the reaction time? Is he going to pull out the white flag? No, but he should have with a minute 54 on the clock. My goodness, that's close. Maybe we're going to get one more. We're going to get another by about 2 seconds, I think. If they'd been a little slower, if they'd fought a little harder earlier on, that would have been the start of the final lap. But as it is, I think we are going to get 2 more. It is so close.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate there. I think if you were Brenton Hobson, you'd be coming through there hoping to see that white flag flown and not having to...
I'll be getting my team manager to send an email to race control.
That's right. Let's just send a very soon...
Grams.
All sitting in pretty well there. We're just seeing in the background Byron Phillips tucking in behind there, but Caleb Hides there up the inside of Jack Boyd, so they're going to drag 2 by 2. That's going to get Byron Phillips there off the hook. He's going to be pretty all safe for the moment.
Oh, well, a lap ago here, they rubbed a couple panels. Is it going to happen again? Boyd went well wide. They're going to do it again. Boyd and Hides going to share a couple more panels. It's a good thing that they're both red, white, and black cars. You're not going to notice the scuffs too much, although I say that, back left corner, you can notice some of the scuffing for Caleb Hides, who holds on to his 3rd place. Then a little wider of the apex than Jack Boyd was able to do. Picks up a little more of the gravel on the exit, and they're starting to let the top 2 get away. So is it going to be the checkered flag or is it going to be the white flag out of this sector when they come to the start-finish line? I think it is going to be one more, but by the skin of our teeth, there's going to be 2 seconds left on the clock when Brendan Hobson comes to the line. So he is going to get one more lap that he didn't want it. If he'd been 5 seconds slower, that would have been the checkered flag. But we've got one more in the sprint race of Hockenheim to hand out some points and to set the grid for race 2.
That's actually almost going to be giving a bit of a leg up there to Byron Phillips, so he's going to get another chance there to take the win. So not forgetting...
Is that a puncture for Harrison? Is the front right down? Is it gone?
Yeah.
It is. He's missed the corner entirely. He's got a puncture on the front right tyre. He would have been wishing that was the checkered flag just now. As he hopped the curbs too aggressively, we saw this at Barcelona. So many punctures from drivers just relentlessly massacring the curbs. And Lee Harrison, I think through turn 1, has managed to give himself a front right puncture. We're going to take a look at the replay as he goes through turn 1. There's a lot of curbs you can swallow up through this section. So is it the apex? Is it the exit? That's probably what's going to do it. I wouldn't do that in my mum's road car. I'd break something.
That's right. And it's not as loud and stiff as that Audi there. So very, very unfortunate there for Lee Harrison. He'll be absolutely kicking himself there. There wasn't really any need to hit that curb as hard as he did. There was a bit of gap there out in front and behind, but talking about gaps there, Byron Phillips maintaining that gap to Hobson. Is he really going to try and make one more lunge at it? He's got nothing to lose here. He's no championship to worry about. He's all about getting that win.
So into the final sector now for Brenton Hobson to try to hold on to grab a win and pole for race 2. Not really any big braking zones. You can try down the inside at the right-hander here. He's just not close enough, and it's not a big enough braking zone in these cars. So the line for Hobson all the way around, all the way wide to the outside. And now, after 15 minutes plus a lap, it seems like, now the checkered flag is out and Brenton Hobson grabs the sprint race from Byron Phillips. And in the boxing match between Hides and Boyd, Hides gets 3rd. Oliver between Hobby and Martin, and Lee Harrison, one-wheel drive right now. Has he punctured the other one? Or is it still the front right?
Yeah, unless if he's knocked his steering or something there, maybe from not having enough grip there, but limping at home there, I think in 26th place there. Oh, sorry, in his car 26th there, so currently in 18th position.
He is still going to come around ahead of Wilhelm Leighton and Darren Sharp and Glenn Boyd and some of the other cars that were damaged earlier on in the race. But still, yeah, he basically lost out almost a minute through all of that. Jay's going to give us this graphic. Well, Wilhelm Leighton and Darren Sharp are still racing out on track through the final sector, the 19th and 20th.
I've got that song, He's Going the Distance.
And the sector as well. Sharp's gone for a real late dive. Wilhelm Leighton, and he's going to redress that. I think that's probably the right thing to do, and I'm glad I dug my heels in to grab that action live. As for 19th and 20th place, they made contact in the final corner, the final lap of the sprint race, and Darren Sharp decided that's not how he wanted to steal 19th place away. So, Brenton Hobson was the winner from Byron Phillips, Caleb Hydes, Jack Boyd, Aaron Oliver, Andrew Hobby, Thomas Martin, Hamish Clellan, Scott Hassler, and Adam Sharp, our top 10 in what was a very action-packed sprint race.
Yeah, just missing out on that top 10. Nicholas Scaife, we saw a lot of fighting with him. Daniel Gomez, Sam Lehman there in 13th, Anthony Connors, Jesse White-Carrick, Mario Vartanian there, so having to come through the pits to fix that damage there. Jack Childs, Lee Harrison there, we saw with those two punctures. Willem Leighton and Darren Sharp, we saw their fight for those last two positions. Glenn Boyd, Philip Paradise, yeah, sorry, that were also on the same lap. They were maybe just out of frame there. So then we had Greg Holmes and Ivan Vantigiato, Ivan being the last car there.
So from 1st to 24th, it was all action in sprint race number 1, and that has gone and set the grid for race 2 coming up in a couple of minutes time, as you see. So we'll take an itty bitty break here on SimSpeed TV. When we come back, it's going to be more fantastic racecraft touring car action and some battles, then also for the longer race 2, a compulsory pit stop and the chance of a safety car. We take everything we just had for an awesome 15 minutes and dial it up a notch and add to the recipe. So we'll be back in a minute. We look forward to bringing you coverage of that race 2.
Yeah, so we're using the VRS Direct Force Pro this year. We have a wheel adapter right here, so I'm using the rim I used last year, but the motor right here produces a lot of power, a lot of precision, and it helps me, just feel the car more, feel the car a lot quicker, especially, this week we're at Sonoma. I can feel it, when it hits the curbs, any little change in the car, the wheel reacts a lot quicker than your typical gear-driven or belt-driven wheel. For example, if you're on oval and the rear tires break loose, force feedback on it corrects a lot quicker than your typical wheels. There's no resistance pretty much as far as being able to make quick corrections on the wheel. So all that, paired with how precise the wheel itself is, it makes it to where it helps you as a driver, to find that extra hundredth or thousandths of a second. So when you're getting a direct drive wheel, especially the VRS wheel, it's heavy duty. It's got good weight to it, it's not a plastic toy. Feels like you can really beat up on it. A lot of people have issues with their plastic gear-driven wheels just kind of breaking after a couple years. This thing just feels like it can go forever. The forces are really strong where if you might have to let go of the wheel if you get into the wall. You can adjust all that with the settings on it and stuff, but the wheel itself doesn't play around. It's got way more strength than you could ever need, and that's what makes it good, that you can adjust that down to whatever the car needs. So initially you'll be able to get the controller box and the motor together, and eventually you will be able to add a rim onto that option. They'll also be including a button plate on it to put on the rim to have all sorts of different buttons and functionality. Also, pedals are coming, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Hasn't been covered too much, but the goal is to also have pedals to go along with the Direct Force Pro. So that's pretty exciting. The wheel feels good. It feels very much like a real world steering wheel. You just kind of feel like what you would imagine the car to feel like. you know, a real steering wheel in the car. It's very smooth, it's very direct, very quick, and that's what this wheel feels like.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
We're back for race 2 of Club Day Masters. It's brought to you by Extreme Air Conditioning, Palmer's, Automotive Towing in South Australia, Simworks, of course. And I'm going to get in trouble if I've forgotten any. Oh, now Global Logistics and still Digital Marketing Tribe, I think. That's off the top of my head. We used to have the graphic for it. Here it is. I got them all. Nice. Nice. That's good. And I'm sure they're going to be thrilled, but so are our drivers who are shortly heading to race 2. Once again, it's going to be 40 minutes of the Hockenheim ring here with not enough fuel for them to make it all the way. So the drivers are going to have to, at some point, make a pit stop. There's a random chance of a safety car, which we've only seen once now in about 3 or 4 races or so. So don't count it as a certainty, but definitely don't count it as an impossibility. Might be a bit of a coin flip, 50-50 situation on that one. Of course, we saw so much great racecraft in action. A lot of that comes down to the way the slipstream is here at the Hockenheim ring, so it's all going to happen again here in race 2.
You also do think it might be reactive as well, so if there's a really big incident, they will bring out that safety car to kind of bring those people back onto the back of the pack, especially if it's some of the front runners as well.
All our drivers are looking really keen for race 2, with the exception of Jack Boyd, but there he is. So Brendan Hobson, after that race 1 win, after just really, wise head on the shoulders kind of stuff, navigating some of the chaos, he picked up that race win. And so he's going to get to start from pole position. Byron Phillips behind him and to the right. Caleb Hyde's directly behind him. You saw Jack Boyd pop in, and Aaron Oliver, the positions he made throughout race 1, going to serve him well here in race 2. Some hard luck stories. It's going to be Vantagiato and Paradiso and others starting all the way up the back from their race 1 misery. Here is race 2 underway now for Club Day Masters at the Hockenheim ring, and it was a good start for Hobson. Really clean racing line through turn 1, but not so for Scott Hassler, who is facing backwards in the runoff of turn 1. He got together with someone, and he's going to try to pick that thing facing the right way, but I think he's got too much damage, unfortunately. So we'll come back, take a look at that one, as Greg Holmes might have made a bit of contact side by side with Lehman, and someone else is out sideways, Daniel Gomez as well. Race 1, a longer race, you think calm heads would prevail, but that is not what we are seeing so far.
Yeah, that's right. There's Daniel Gomez being able to slot back in. I think that might have been Vartanian that had that contact with Hassler. Gee, they're all pitching it left, pitching it right there into the big hairpin. Oh, they're going to be going, I think, 3 wide there. Oh, and Ivan Vantagiato there in the back of Sam Lehman. So it's caused a bit of a traffic jam here at the back.
Yeah, bumpers off for Vantagiato. The back right tyre, though he can't see it, for Sam Lehman is all askew. So he's really going to struggle to bring that thing around. You could smell from a mile away that car on cold tyres wasn't going to stop at the hairpin for Vantagiato, and he's gone right in and, well, back right. No good for Sam Lehman. I think he's added a little more colour to that thing, but he's got more colour in his race today than he really wanted. So he's probably going to bring that thing around to pit lane and then hope for a safety car, but that car won't turn left without that tyre. It's folded underneath the car, and this is painful for Sam Lehman. Let's
Yeah.
wind back the tape.
Yeah, so we just saw, I think that's Hasler there facing the opposite direction. So we'll see. I know Vartanian had to avoid the situation there. He always seems to get a really good run off the line. Might actually been, Nicholas Scaife there with the hip check, unintentional.
Yeah, Scaife went down the middle, 3 wide there, and then might not have realised he still had someone to his inside, and then it's sort of created a domino effect, 1 to 2 into 3. Now he is a bit of 3 wide, bit of a check up. This is how Gomez ends up out on the grass, or he gets a hip check to Harrison, and then gets a tap from Sam Lehman. So it all goes on here. When you're 3 wide, it becomes so complicated. Spantagiato, after maybe causing a little bit of an incident in race 1, then at the back of the grid for race 2, and then 3 wide in front of him, and he breaks 30 meters deeper than absolutely everybody else, doesn't make the corner, and yeah, puts damage on 3 cars.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate incident there. I think Lehman might have been able to limp back to the pits there. A lot of damage.
He did end up towing after the car spun when he tried to take a corner, and the tyre folded in underneath him. We're back on the live pictures now, as it is lap 2 of 40 minutes. So we'll see exactly how many laps that ends up being, because there's always some uncertainty there. But you can see how hard Caleb Hydes is pushing. He got a tiny bit of tyre in the gravel, got all out loose, trying to carry that speed behind Brenton Hobson, trying to challenge for the lead here, trying to leave Jack Boyd and Byron Phillips behind. This is the move we thought we might have seen at the end of race 1. He's come up with a real surprise. Hydes sends Hobson back into second, and that was actually pretty clean for a place where we don't see much overtaking happen.
Yeah, Caleb Hydes there, absolutely getting Hobson there by surprise. Hobson won't be able to respond through that first kink in corner 1. All taking quite a lot of curb. Be really careful there not to get a puncture, as we saw with Lee Harrison.
We thought we might have seen
in race 1. Hobson will try and line him up, I think, through the parabolica there, try and get a really good run. It's a bit tricky there with these front-wheel drive Audis to really get the power down, especially out of those slow corners.
It's a good shot here of your leading pack. I think Vantagiato had to repair his car and may have rejoined out in front of them. Saw Hassler leaving the lane. Here is good move, but not all the way clear from Hobson. So he's going to remain side by side with Caleb Hydes. Jack Boyd is taking the opportunity to carry a lot of speed at the both of them. But around the outside, Hydes is going to take that one back. Now Hobson's almost trying to defend from Jack Boyd at this point. So what an amazing battle pack we had for the lead in race 1. All shaping up again in race 2. When are we going to see someone go for the pits then? Because my understanding would suggest that the pit window is already open.
Yeah, that's right. And knowing that they have around 18 minutes of fuel or so, we just saw Nicholas Scaife there up the inside of Scott Hasler. So Hasler potentially might be a lap down there, because we did remember seeing him.
He had to tow after the damage from lap 1, and it's put him a lap down.
Yeah, so it's actually thrown him in the mix with everyone there. You can see the flash of lights there by, I think that might be Cleland there in behind. So haven't seen too much of him this round. Hamish Cleland, I called him Josh Cleland there. So trying to get through on some of that lap traffic.
Another lap for the leaders, still no pitters, and this is on board with the leader, Hydes, looking backwards at Brenton Hobson, Jack Boyd, Byron Phillips, Aaron Oliver and Andrew Hobby attached to this as well. Hydes has come from 3rd on the grid to 1st, and Phillips has gone from 2nd on the grid back to 4th at the moment. Still a lot to happen. They're still all in the lead pack, which is where they want to be right now before the pit stops, potentially before a safety car is still just with a lot of race to go. In touch with the leaders, in touch with the lead pack. Big move from Boyd. Manages to get it stopped at the apex though. Grabs 2nd. So Hobbo from pole now back into 3rd.
Yeah, I do believe a penalty has been handed out to Ivan Vantagiato as well. You can just see him in the foreground of a few of these shots, so he'll be pulling into the pits there. You can just see him just in front of Caleb Hydes at the moment. big pack though. I think a pack of almost 7, so it extends all the way down there to Andrew Hobby.
Yeah,
There
it's a good half dozen for the lead pack still. And there's Thomas Martin, you can see not far back either. A little bit of battling and he could get right in this as well. It's the view from Andrew Hobby. And there's Vantagiato getting out the way, wide at Sachs Curve, aka the Sebastian Vettel World Championship line. Oh, a mistake! Is there a puncture or is it just a mistake from Hides? He's gone from the lead back into third, looking at fourth. They can potentially go 3 wide around him from the lead. He has lost out pretty big, but he's able to slot back in line. Car looks okay now. He might have just caught one of those curbs wrong on the way into the final sector. He's lost the lead. Now Jack Boyd is leading.
To see Aaron Oliver pulling out of the train there, just showing a bit of a nose there on Byron Phillips there. You just see Thomas Martins. He's trying to, as best as he can, pull himself onto the back of this group. About half a second or so there from Andrew Hobby, so be turning this pack of 6 into a pack of 7.
Yeah, that's good for him to be, on this very powerful slipstream down the long straights here in the high speed pit straight, particularly that back straight through Parabolica and towards Spitzkirche. And they're going side by side immediately behind as well. Scaife and Sharp and Vartanian and Cleland. Vartanian's up 6 spots already from 16th. He's battling in that pack immediately behind here. So that's him trying to cover off, and he's not going to successfully cover off Hamish Cleland, I don't think. He's going to try to come around the outside. Here's Lee Harrison also battling in this pack for lots of position. So Vartanian and Harrison both trying to pick up some spots here in race 2. And so far, it looks like they've managed to do it cleanly, but it has meant a lot of battling, a lot of getting their elbows out, and a lot of having to, hold their ground, as the same has been happening for Sharp and Scaife, who are then, I think, going to get caught by Vartanian and Harrison in a second as well.
Yeah, you can see between Scaife and Sharp, they're both taking different lines, so that is going to slow them up a little bit. Both of them choosing to opt out of this pack there, so getting their pit service in nice and early.
I love that there's a little bit of a landmine, on pit lane somewhere here. They'll come along and they're not in the fast lane. Somewhere along in the fast lane here, there's a great little bump on the pit lane. That's an interesting strategy from Scaife and Sharp. And if there is an early safety car, it could come back to help them. Otherwise, they're letting Vartanian and Harrison and some others through, and they might not get back into the slipstream. Might end up losing time away from the pack. They might end up gaining it if people keep battling, like we're seeing here. That's Oliver to the inside, Hobby to the outside, Martin behind them. Starting to lose touch then with those others. If they keep up with that, Oliver is going to hold on to his spot ahead of Andrew Hobby and Thomas Martin. I rode past the Flight Centre corporate headquarters yesterday.
Yeah, nice. It's actually, you can kind of see the difference between this group of 4 and this group of 3. You see this group of 4 in front working together there, so really knowing that still got 30 minutes on the clock, so the race cannot be won so early on. It can definitely be lost though, so working together is absolutely key there, and trying to pull that gap. So you can see that gap there over a second or so there between Byron Phillips there and Aaron Oliver, so taking each other wide into the corners there definitely kills the momentum.
These are a really momentum dependent car. Sure, they're turbocharged with a couple hundred horsepower. They're not rocking gigantic amounts of horsepower. You really do want to use the slicks and the splitter in the rear wing and all of that to carry your momentum, because you can then kind of immediately put the power down particularly easily on the corner exits, either being front wheel drive.
I actually remember the Flight Centre ads. Remember that Flight Centre used to have the pilot, the nondescript pilot on the TV ads, and there was.
I think
always
they still have like giant cardboard cutouts of him at the stores.
They're making the most of the outlay of the printing of those, but there was always conjecture on whether or not he was an actual pilot. So they still haven't worked it out. Oh, I would absolutely ask for his signature if Andrew Hobby was a pilot. Doing a very good job of piloting this Audi TCR, like if it's a 747, perhaps.
Yeah, so real concertina effect there at that far hairpin, because we saw Hobby giving a little nudge to Oliver, saw Lee Harrison almost giving a little nudge to Mario Vartanian, and yeah, that's a good look at the rear bumper. And these guys have still managed to stay in touch with the drivers out front as well. I think Hobby's done enough of these races in Club Day Masters. We've seen him for a couple seasons. He's wise enough to know that he doesn't actually want to cut himself away from the slipstream and the pack effect of those quick drivers up front. To keep himself on the train until it's time for his pit stop or until it's time to break away. And it's time for the pit stop for Aaron Oliver, and having been checked up behind, Andrew Hobby's decided, you know what, I'll do the same thing as well. So here they come, attacking the pit lane. If they need an oil change, there's plenty spare. That's wide on the pit entry for Lee Harrison behind, as Glenn Boyd is also going to follow him in. So a couple of cars on the pit lane right now.
Yeah, so these front four definitely choosing to stay out there, and you can see how it actually played out for both. I think that was Brenton Hobson and Jack Boyd choosing to stay out in last round and then having the safety car in. So the further and further they push on, if it's a flag-to-flag race, they'll probably be all right for the most part, because they do have the faster pace than the rest of the field. But if there is a safety car, it's absolutely going to be a massive disadvantage to them.
Still a couple laps away from the halfway point of this 40-minute race, but that looks like a long stop for Oliver. Look, he's behind Boyd. He's only just ahead of Harrison now. In fact, that must also be a long stop for Harrison, because Glenn Boyd's jumped him. Andrew Hobby, well and truly clear. So I'm seeing 16 seconds for Glenn Boyd, 22, 23-ish for Lee Harrison. So all over the shop there.
Yeah, maybe a few of them might have caught their crew sleeping at the back of the garage or something, perhaps. But not too sure what's going on there with Aaron Oliver. You can see that's almost 11 seconds slower than the rest.
Yeah, sure is. I think you wouldn't go for a tyre change in a 40-minute race, and the track is 36 Celsius, so not cold, but not hot. Here's our leader going for the pits. Jack Boyd's going to be followed by Brenton Hobson. Looks like Hydes and Phillips are going to stay out. Double check on that one. Very aggressive on the pit lane commitment. Is someone around in pit lane there?
Yeah, I think that was Thomas Martin there. He actually, I think he might have clipped the grass there and hit the wall really heavily there, so he's quite a lot of damage at the front.
That's worthy of a replay. There is some grass that you can clip at. Okay, it was a little earlier than that. On his way into the pit lane. Let's keep an eye on that. Just does get some of that grass, loop it around and hit the barrier. So wow. And then Vartanian's coming along, slow car in front of him. It might have cost Vartanian a bit of time as well. Saw Harrison dig up a little bit of the grass, but then it's clipping exactly the wrong amount. Thomas Martin. So here they go. I am seeing some of those drivers dropping down on the track. Thomas Martin still up on the jacks now. He drops down away. I bet you've got an unsafe pit entry from that one. So Jack Boyd is going to lead out from Byron Phillips. Brenton Hobson lost a bit of ground through that stop. So his pit stop luck from Barcelona hasn't translated into German.
Yeah, and it is a compulsory 2-tyre change as well. So potentially might have seen a few drivers accidentally not taking tyres there. We've got a really fast time there by Gomez, as well as I think that might be Glenn Boyd there in 9th position. So not too sure what's going on there. We can see Adam Sharp's had a really long stop there of 48 seconds. So same with, I think, might have been Philip Paradiso with a long stop as well. So very well spread out there in our pit stop times.
And there's Martin with an extra 40 seconds, and I think that was for the unsafe pit entry. So double whammy, and here comes Hydes from the lead. one of the leading cars yet to pit. I think it's got Hamish Cleland coming in the background as well. Only very, very few drivers yet to pit. Here's Jack Boyd and Byron Phillips and Brenton Hobson who've all made their stops. Hobbo's managed to catch back up to these two in front, so he's just keeping himself in contention so far, the way it's going, not letting these guys get away. Look at that understeer with the cold tyres as well.
Yes, we did see Hobby had actually a really good stop there, so not too sure what's dropped him back behind these two a little bit. He'll want to really bridge that gap because, yeah, if Boyd and Phillips there work together there, could it be Hobson could be relegated there to third place.
Hobby pitted a lap earlier than them, and you remember he didn't look like he wanted to pit and then ended up following Aaron Oliver in. So I think that the in-lap for Hobby might have been a little iffy, might have lost a second or so there, and that'd do it if he just lost 1 second on the in-lap by being, indecisive behind Aaron Oliver.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually just caught up.
Look at the weaving from Hydes. He's just come out of the pit lane in the lead, and he's weaving all down the parabolica, trying to get some tyre temp, because otherwise, when these guys catch him, they might eat him alive.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just caught off camera there. I think Lee Harrison there, up another spot there, up on Mario Vartani, and Aaron Oliver's wanting a bit of the action there. Vartani going quite wide, so that's actually cost him a little bit of a run here on the back of the straight.
Yeah, Oliver with one more lap of tyre temperature than these guys around him. So they're, Bambi on ice compared to Oliver is starting to really peak up to the grip. So that was one of the things that might have helped him get around Vartanian. He's going to hope he can do the same to... No, he's not going to be able to do the same to Lee Harrison or Glenn Boyd. So that's the Vartanian with the colder tyres there, just missing out a little bit until they come back up to pressure here.
Yeah, and potentially there Glenn Boyd as well will have to come back in for not taking those tyres. So he only took fuel on that last one, so I'm sure that might be communicated back up to the front there. I think Lee Harrison almost gave him a bit of a helping hand, turning him into the pit lane. So Glenn Boyd back in. That won't be a mistake he'll make again.
Paradiso trying to stay out of the way. The leader's Hydes is still deer in headlights to Jack Boyd, who's got the tyre pressure, got the confidence, can brake deep and get on the throttle earlier. Not often you see someone get around the outside of turn 2 and make it look so easy, but that is the difference in the tyre pressure right now, I think. Now only onto his first flying lap on the new tyres for Hydes. He's going to hope that comes up quickly, starts to equalize with these other drivers around him, and then he can use the slipstream to stay in touch. Well, he must feel confident now if he's looking to the inside on Jack Boyd. No overlap, but Boyd doesn't want to get hit, so Boyd gives him the space, and that's a great shot from up on high, showing Hobson and Phillips almost battling it out a little bit as well.
Yeah, it really shows how close together these four are, talent-wise, absolutely all on the pace together. You just see Andrew Hobby there off in the background. They'll won't want to hold each other up too much there because it will put Hobby there on the back of these four, so it will be back to a train of 5 again.
We are now in the second half of the race, under 20 minutes to go for race 2 here in Club Day Masters. Plenty of points on the line at the end of this one, more points than in race 1. And Hydes is still just not displaying the same kind of pace that he had in, before the pit stop and in race number 1. Still really trying to work a little bit of heat into those tyres that he's got. And it's letting Boyd build a little bit of a gap, but I just don't think enough that Boyd's going to be able to break away. It's the top 5 and Hobson being quite patient. Blue and white in third. Everyone else just, red and whatever. But what is that run around the outside that he's got on Hydes? Hobson, nose in front, around the outside, trying to do what Boyd did earlier. And I tell you what, almost successful. Looked good.
Yeah, so that's great work there by Hobbo. So we want to pull down, but all this fighting, you can just see that gap there opening up there to Jack Boyd there. So we're at 1.1, 1.2 seconds. It's almost where the draft starts to fall off. So these 4 following behind really need to sort themselves out there. And that's Byron Phillips there in the back of Brenton Hobson. So will not be happy about that.
Yeah, I think Phillips did get it a little bit hot and really help Hobson out and wide. Now they're almost 3 wide. And whoa, what's the timing on the safety car being deployed now? That's going to shrink Jack Boyd's lead. Byron Phillips is going to be thankful he stuck his nose ahead. He's going to get second, and I think it's going to be... did Hobby have his nose in front of Hyde's as well? We're going to see in a second. They've got to sort of count back on that, and we'll get the safety car order by the time they come around to the pit straight where the safety car is. I'll tell you who this helps. Lee Harrison has made 12 spots already. Now the gap between him and the lead pack gets shrunk. Same too for Aaron Oliver. It brings him back into the race. Same for Vartanian, I reckon. You remember he was really struggling on those cold tyres a little bit. Now this is, probably going to be equal tyre pace, equal temp and pressure for everyone by the time we get to the end of this safety car. So, it just brings the whole field back together. There's drivers who were maybe in a good position, but not close to the cars in front to get the slipstream to battle in that pack. Now get all compressed into one pack. It's the Porsche 911 GT3 today.
Yeah, that's right. You could almost say with Lee Harrison, almost a bit of a Just Send It reference there with the biggest postman award. I think he took on almost nearly 20 positions there at Silverstone, so doing pretty well there, up 12 places there to where he is. And this is going to, you're absolutely right there, this is actually going to put him right on the back of this group. So be a few lap cars and stuff in between, but he's going to be absolutely in prime position to take a few more positions back.
Greg Holmes has also been a quality postman. Very, very back of the grid. You remember he got, I think, hit at the hairpin lap 1 of race 1 and was basically a retirement there. And that's why he started all the way up the back in race 2. Paradiso gets a wave around. So Greg Holmes has made up a bunch of positions, and he's still also closing up on the pack. He could maybe... Well, he only need to take away 2 spots while Harrison stayed in 6th for Holmes to be the biggest mover.
Also
and what a great car Greg Holmes has got as well. Some very interesting sponsors on there. Some very helpful ones. So you got Simworks on the front. That's the Palmer's logo down the bottom. Is it just Simworks and Palmer's on there?
Yeah, Simworks and Palmer's there on the back as well. So he's got extreme air conditioning or extreme racing there as the window banner. So he's got it all happening there, as well as the Club Day Masters there.
Look at the bottom of the door. He's got Now Global Logistics there on the bottom of the door.
Oh, the gold just shimmers here in the German countryside. I actually don't mind the black and gold as opposed to, it's almost like chrome maroon colored. It was like if you chromed a like an old Fairlane or something like that, that really like Ford maroon color. So it's, don't mind the black's a nice update.
So that kind of covered biggest movers, didn't it? Jack Boyd +3 in the lead. Lee Harrison +12. Holmes +10. Jack Childs is +6 at the moment. And Glenn Boyd, having made his 2nd pit stop, is now back on the train as well. If the light's going to go out this time on the safety car, we would hope so, for the amount of racing remaining. Yes. So one more tour behind the safety car here, and then we get racing again. And there are definitely some drivers in the pack who, could be the highlight reels.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vartani, not to forget, also up 8 spots there from 16th. So he's absolutely, it goes to show how much how much of an advantage it is to practice those starts in the Audi TCR. You can see Vartanian always seems to grab almost 2 or 3 positions off the line every race. So unfortunately, he had a bit of a bad run in there on lap 1 for this feature race here, but he'll be definitely one to watch coming through there on potentially Aaron Oliver and Lee Harrison as well. Actually just noticed as well, not too sure if Greg Holmes has the automotive towing logo there on his car, potentially somewhere as well, but we're actually that incident there between Byron Phillips and Andrew Hobby, so receiving a penalty there, so Byron Phillips from 2nd position, he will get a drive-through penalty as well.
Is that when he so has that just come through and that's from when he escorted Hobson out wide?
Correct. I think it was that that quarter contact there through the hairpin that they're coming through now. So
I have to say, in the grand scheme of everything we've seen, maybe a little harsh of a penalty, but it was, you know, there. So maybe we need some slightly more discreet variations of the penalty potentially. It's going to be very, very, very tough for Byron Phillips. Has he parked it?
yeah, he has.
He's called it. Byron Phillips has decided that with 10 minutes to go, drive-through penalty would put you all the way to the back and a long way to the back. So he's gone and parked it. That's another spot for Lee Harrison, and that's another spot for Greg Holmes.
Also, that's also brought Andrew Hobby there into a podium position, so he'll be looking pretty hard in his mirror there with Brenton Hobson in behind.
Look at that, Caleb Hydes and Lee Harrison are worried about cold tyres on the restart. I wouldn't be. The track temp is 36. Always riding the brakes a little bit as well, some of them. Interesting tactics out there, and the safety car is about to pull in. Jack Boyd's still pretty close to that safety car, uncharacteristic compared to some of the restarts we've seen from him before. In the final corner, he's still holding him, really holding him up through the final corner before he goes now. Stretches out the field for 10.5 minutes of Club Day Masters Race 2 here at Hockenheim Ring. Already I saw side by side with Vartanian and Oliver. Vartanian trying to come all the way around the outside. No grip there. All the way through the runoff to try to hold on to that one. Feels a little bit cheeky because he didn't do anything resembling an apex through turn 1. Glenn Boyd setting the traffic cones with Skittles in the background, but it's going to work for... that was Vartanian, wasn't it? Plenty side by side still there between Martins and Greg Holmes. Jack Boyd leading them, but they are all stacked up right behind him.
Yeah, I just saw Jack Childs out of position as well, so getting a good overtake in their hairpin. You can see Caleb Hydes almost with the fake out left to right, so he'll have the inside line there on Jack Boyd.
Yeah. Tricked Boyd into not defending too hard, but Boyd still's got plenty of grip to hold on to that lead, and Hobby just rolling along in third, but there's been definitely a bit of contact. Further back, Anthony Connors. Oh, that front is very, very dented, and there's not long left in this one. Oh, and a mistake there, or was that contact? Because Jack Boyd's gone sideways. Now Hobby and Hydes battling for the lead. Did you get a little bit of a touch on the way into the corner? Here comes Brenton Hobson. Here comes Lee Harrison as well, up into 5th. Andrew Hobby going to slam the door in Hydes' face, and Jack Boyd is going to come back through. Hobson's going to try to come around Hydes as well. I don't think you're going to get much grip up high and out wide. Don't take my word for it, though. Hobson's still going to try it, trying to take 3rd place around the outside of the hairpin, then into the inside for the next section of corners. Harrison sticks his nose in here as well and can't quite do it. Still trying to hurry Hydes along. Hobby went real wide out the final corner as well, and you'd think there was 1 lap to go. I think there's still 6 laps to go.
Yeah, absolutely. There you could just see Brenton Hobson there boxed in there between both Lee Harrison that might have been, yeah, Caleb Heiser as well. You can see Jack Boyd there with the inside into that. So Hobby letting that one through. He's going to try and get the cut through there, but through this slower section, it might be a little bit tricky to try and get alongside.
Not sure an Audi TCR is rated for this much towing, but Jack Boyd's doing it nonetheless. Bumper to bumper. Here comes 3 wide as Hobson's taking the speed, taking the advantage, trying to get down the inside of Hobby, trying to also get down the inside of Boyd. It's going to be close. He makes the apex. Boyd saw that one coming, and Hobby back into third. Jack Boyd holding on to the lead, and I think Hobson has realized that if he stays out wide, stays by himself, he'd be vulnerable, so he drops right back in behind Jack Boyd for the moment. This is where Boyd got a little sideways a lap or so ago. Either there was contact or he got a little bit of that grass, and we saw how close they all got to that grass on turn in. Could be a very easy mistake to make, to just put a tyre out wide there. Easy to put a tyre out wide on the exit here as well through this very quick right-hander. Almost blind on the way in with where that wall is positioned towards the apex. Didn't see any problems for what looks like a top 8 battle pack at the moment.
Yeah, and you can see blink, and you get shuffled down the order so quickly, as we've seen Hobby, I think, just in one corner there, losing 2 positions there. I think that might have been Thomas Martin, who's also
Bumper's off as well.
Oh, he's sitting across the track there, but everyone's managed to miss him. Thankfully, doing a really good job there of holding that brake on and not rolling forward or back, so making himself quite predictable by not moving.
Let's have a look, because the front right wheel also came off in this. Does he get out wide? Whoa, Scaife is sideways, and he makes contact with Scaife.
Yeah, so Thomas Martin's mechanics, I think, with a with a lot of work to do in this round there. So not only having that major incident coming into the pits there as well, but having that big accident. So a bit of a shame there. He actually managed to work his way back from the back again into a good position there. As Hamish Cleland deep under brakes, he almost thought he was going to hit the rear there of I think that might have been Daniel Gomez in front of him, or might have been Vartanian as well. So having a really good run here with a few of these guys.
Yeah, might have had the outside tyres on the curb and reduced his braking potential, and he got in quite deep, but still managed to stop it without making any contact. It's Oliver Vartanian Cleland are battling over 6th. It's now top 5 going for the race win potentially. Jack Boyd from Hobson, from Hobby, from Hides. That's a Triple H. But behind them is Lee Harrison. So Jack Boyd, the only man in the top 5 without a surname starting with the letter H.
That's the quadruple H. So seeing him come through there, Andrew Hobby hasn't lost too much pace there, as you can just see Lee Harrison right on the back there of Caleb Hyde. So Lee Harrison looking to make a move in the next couple of corners.
I reckon Hobson and Hobby are pretty close to each other in the phone book as well. And if we've got any younger viewers, a phone book was it? No. So Jack Boyd's still leading. Scaife, after that contact we saw side by side where really looked like Martin came off super duper second best. Seems like Scaife is still continuing. Here is 4th and 5th Hides and Harrison making a little bit of contact. Scaife is now behind Gomez, trying to battle with him. And of course, onto this long run at the far side of the circuit, always thinking, trying to set up a move to the hairpin here. Hobson's still in line, Hobby's still in line, Hides and Harrison all single file as well.
You'd have to say if Club Day Masters was a Rolodex, the I to H part would be quite thick there. I think with Rolodex there with Hobson, Hobby, Holmes, all very close together. Not only in name, but also on the track as well, especially between Hobson and Andrew Hobby. Hamish Cleland having an absolute banger of a run on this feature race, so he's under a lot of pressure there by Vartanian. Vartanian, very experienced here with these Audi TCRs. We've seen him in previous championships right near the front there. Hamish Cleland both cars running really wide as they come through this really long left-hander.
Always interesting to see how deep into the corner those brake lights come on, and it looked like almost past the apex for Cleland there. He's really trying to make the thing rotate after however long he's been on those tyres. I think the fronts aren't giving him the grip he wanted. The car can often become a little plowy as you keep loading up, particularly that front left tyre through some really long sections here. This battle continues between Hydes and Harrison for fourth, though. Lee Harrison, 13 positions gained in this race, is looking for 14 if he can get down the inside of turn number 2 here. But it is such a tough place to make a move because, as you're going to see, Hydes holds it around the outside, wants some space, is going to force a bit of space into the side. He's going to send him off track as well. Oh, they're going to rub down the Parabolica as well. I really thought Hydes was entitled to a bit of space around the outside there, but there's a lot of emotion on show with only a couple of minutes left. They're going to touch for a third time.
Yeah, you absolutely don't want to touch there at that really high speed section there of the Parabolica there. Harrison up the inside. I think Caleb Hydes there will have to slide in behind. Great paint there as well by Lee Harrison, the big SimSpeed logo there on the wing. You can only really see it from those aerial shots there. You see Caleb Hydes trying to do the cross back there. Aaron Oliver there also up the inside. Bit of a bump there as well.
I think Hydes might have got a slowdown penalty for how far he jumped that curb before the Mercedes corner. I don't know. He's definitely dropped back a little bit. I think he was hesitant through that corner. They're battling in front of him, though. They're battling behind him, though. This is out front. 3 cars, Boyd, Hobson, and Hobby. And I think Hobson and Hobby both seem like drivers so far today who've been, quite patient. They're willing to, ride this one out for the podium and try to attack on the last lap. Speaking of, that's what we're about to start. So I wonder if we'll see a little more aggression from Hobson, who's always just been happy to hang out in the podium places until late on in the race. So that's what they're going to do here on the final lap. Cleland, Vartanian, and Charles, and everyone is battling all throughout the field here as well. But for the lead, it's under 0.2 of a second. It's under an Audi TCR car's length, as Hobson, I'm sure, is thinking about the exit here, trying to square it off a little bit so that when he gets into the left-hander, it's full throttle as early as possible, for as long as possible. Tucked up behind the rear wing of Boyd, he's already 2 kilometers an hour faster. He's walking the gap down. Boyd's still on the racing line, not defending this one, so Hobson is going to get down the inside, set himself up for a good line, exactly nose to nose, but the inside line belongs to Hobson. He's got his nose in front, tries to square it off for the exit, but it's still close, and you can see a way that Boyd can level this off, get the inside for the Mercedes-Benz corner. Once again, absolutely nose to nose for the lead here. Boyd's been so patient to hold it around the outside to get the inside for the next corner, but then Hobson's going to do the same right back to him around the outside, becomes the inside. Hobson just going to need to park it for the final sector here, otherwise Jack Boyd's going to try to get around him. The overtaking opportunities are getting slimmer, and he's defending in places you wouldn't normally see. Hobson throws it in shallow, throws it in deep, runs it a little wide, then now has to defend the inside for the Sachs curve, where Hobson went around the outside some laps ago. Now he's got to defend the inside, and it's Jack Boyd around the outside to take the inside for the final sector. Corner after corner, side by side. Boyd throws it in deep, tries to take the lead away, blocking like all he can. But then out the final corner, I think it's worked because the checkered flag is out, and it's going to be Jack Boyd from Brenton Hobson, from Andrew Hobby. Count the lead changes, I think 3 or 4 in that final lap.
Yeah, and I think that was 6/100ths of a second separating the front 2 there. So what an absolute spectacular finish there to our feature race. Just seeing the last few, I've seen a few cars go a little bit off the track there. I think Nicholas Scaife there managing to keep it off the wall there, but pretty heavy on the grass. He might have a broken wheel there, but won't matter anymore. All done and dusted for this race here. Great work as well by Lee Harrison. So up 14 positions there, up into 4th place.
Jack Boyd's ripping skids on the handbrake because you can't rev it up and drop the clutch. You can't spin up the rear wheels in a front-wheel drive car. So all he can do, rip that handbrake and leave some smoke trails all along the back straight. The winning margin there after he just threw the blocks at Brendan Hobson under a tenth of a second. And Andrew Hobby squeaking in for a podium as well. Who just got a post-race penalty there? Someone took the checkered flag carrying a time penalty that's been doubled post-race. Well, we'll run down the order here. So then it's Lee Harrison in 4th. Mr. Big Positions gain plus 14. Aaron Oliver in 5th. Vartanian gets scored in 6th. Then Jack Childs, Adam Sharp, Hamish Cleland, and Daniel Gomez.
Yeah, just outside the top 10, we just saw Nicholas Scaife there with very close between 11th, 12th, 13th, as well as Glenn Boyd and Ivan Vantigiato there. Scott Hasler, Sam Lehman, Greg Holmes, Darren Sharp there in 17th, Philip Torridicio, Caleb Hydes receiving that penalty. So he did cross the line, I think in 3rd position, but that's pushed him all the way down to 19th, as well as Jesse White and Craig rounding out the top 20. Anthony Connors being the last car in the lead lap there, and Willem Leighton, Thomas Martin, and Byron Phillips. Byron Phillips receiving that penalty under safety car.
So I just had another read of the rules, and the incident limit for this race was 20. So we saw a little bit of plenty of door banging between Hydes and Lee Harrison, for example. Might have seen Hydes exceed the track limits exit of turn 1 a couple times. So I'm going to think Hydes has exceeded the incident limit and then not served a drive-through, and so it's been added post-race, and then we saw it tick through. So for Hydes, he did cross the line in 6th place, I think, and then he's been shunted all the way back to 19th when it's added the 20 or so seconds of the drive-through penalty post-race, which is what it is right now. Let's see if we can grab a word with a couple of our drivers, because I loved that battle we saw right at the end there. Let's grab our 2nd place man and race 1 winner. So 1 win and another podium for Brenton Hobson. Mr. Hobbo, what a crazy last lap you just had there. Side by side through places we don't normally see it, but a lot of respect. Not you guys not sending each other off. You had a good battle there with Jack, who just managed to get you at the end.
I know, right? That was unreal. So much fun, and that's what these cars should be all about, in my opinion. There's no reason why you can't race them side by side around a whole lap at most tracks if you give each other enough room and race fair. And Jack's one of the best out there. He's one of the cleanest and most respectful drivers that you can come up against. So I was confident that we could do it, and it was sort of like, okay, if I'm on the outside at this corner, I should be on the inside 3 corners later. And, it just worked out better for him around the outside of that left-hand hairpin on the infield there. That was the move that got it for him, to be on the outside there where you can carry a bit of momentum in the banking and stay alongside to have the inside to the finish. So cracking job by Jack, and that was one of the more fun races I can remember doing.
We're looking at your results right now. 1st in race 1, 2nd in race 2. I don't think you're going to be disappointed by that. That's real consistency and a good haul at this point in the season.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, we've had a bit of a up and down year so far in this, or season in this so far. So it was good to actually put 2 good races together on the same night. We did it at the first round, but not since. So it was good to be good here. This is the first track we've come up to that I've actually raced that at a TCR before, so I sort of had a bit of an idea of what to do tonight, and I think that helped. So the pace was good, and the luck was good, which is the other thing you need.
Hockenheim Ring's still a pretty new track on the iRacing service, but I've definitely seen plenty of racing here now, and you say you've done some as well. You got some favourite features or some least favourite parts to race on this track? What stands out in the driver's mind for this layout in these cars?
It's not, as far as tracks go, it's probably not near the top of my list for favourites. I don't actually really enjoy racing here that much, but it's one of those tracks though, especially with a lot of back and forward sections like we just saw in that last lap, where you can go side by side and there's no sort of two corners in a row that go the same way for a while. So you can do some of that good racing in these lower speed cars. But the first corner there, smashing that curb at turn 1 is pretty good fun, and then you get an off track on the outside and get angry about it. But beyond that, it's that first corner is pretty good fun at this track.
And talking about those, off tracks in the incidents, for example, we did see it looked like Hydes picked up a post-race penalty for exceeding the incident limit. Were you at all close? Something you were at all worried about in either of the races?
Not really. I picked up a few. I mean, the first round at Barcelona, I didn't get any incidents for the whole night, and that's sort of my style. But you can't really do that in this league. I found out. I know I did there, but you sort of get the elbows out, and you got to use up some of those track limits a bit to be competitive. So I think I got to 12 or maybe 13 or something in that second race of 20. So we weren't that close to it. The big 4X at the hairpin didn't help with that either. So we weren't too close to it. It wasn't really in my mind, but it is something you think about, at the start of the race. Like, you've got to be conservative and save them up for later, because it is one of those tracks where you can get sort of 2 or 3 on a lap without even getting any contact and do it pretty easily. So you do that for 2 or 3 laps in a row and you burn them up pretty quick.
Well, I'm going to say a good round for you. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we hope we're going to see you next time, Mr. Hobson.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully I can make it again next week. I don't know what track we're at, but so hopefully we can make it back. I guess championship wise, we're probably near the front, so we'll keep coming back and see if we can do better. I enjoyed it tonight, so that always helps with my willingness to return. So that was good. But yeah, thanks to the guys that put on the league. I mean, it is a good league, and there's some good guys in here to race with. So that's good. And thanks to you guys for putting on a broadcast. Appreciate it.
A delight. Thank you. So, from a man who was first in race 1 to the driver who was first in race 2, Jack Boyd's with Nick Skariev.
Yeah, congratulations, Jack. There, it was an absolute. We're on the edge of our seat there in those last couple of corners there against yourself and Brenton Hobson. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, that was probably the most enjoyable race all season, I reckon. It's awesome when in these cars you can have someone that will give you racing room, and because these cars are obviously so closely matched. I mean, you saw that last half a lap there. It was awesome close racing. So I'll definitely be watching that stream back tonight, and hopefully it was a good show. Yeah,
absolutely. You've had some pretty mixed highlights and lowlights throughout this championship so far. I think you've had some really unfortunate incidents a little bit earlier on. Is there any that you'd like to speak of?
I know the first round was pretty horrible. I think at Barcelona I just got caught out by the damage model a bit, and that was a pretty horrible round. But I think slowly bringing the championship back, hopefully I can keep up the good results, and especially keep quality up the front. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I think we're going to have a pretty spectacular next round as well, being at Monza. Any sponsors you'd like to thank?
No, not really. Just a big thanks to everyone for putting the series on. I know there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and also Race Control. There's going to be a little bit of reports tonight, I bet. So, just a big thanks to everyone for putting it on.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Jack, on that win, and absolutely strong finish there.
Well, there we have it. Thanks, Nick. Thank you, Jack Boyd, our winners from race 1 and race 2 here in Club Day Masters. What excitement it was when these TCR cars race so close, and when the slipstream can bring them together a little bit. And, you're not going to want to miss next week then on the Grand Prix layout of Monza. I think it'll be everything the same and a little more. And if we can get respect, if we can get racecraft, and we can get a bit of strategy, then my goodness, are we going to be in for a treat. And hopefully the drivers are going to enjoy it as well. That is 1 week from now, Monday night here on SimSpeed Club Day Masters at Monza Grand Prix. Thanks for joining us tonight, though. I've been David Haynes, Nick Skariev with me, and Jay Kennedy with the cameras, with the replays, with the production, and all of that important jazz. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, so you don't miss any of the awesome action every day of the week, almost it is, here on SimSpeed. And of course, last thanks go out to the sponsors of Club Day Masters, Simmons Race Simulators, Automotive Towing in South Australia, Digital Marketing Tribe, Palmer's, Now Global Logistics, and Extreme Air Conditioning. That's all from the Hockenheim ring. See you at Monza.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up the
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?